staple. Extremely easy. I want to put screens in here.
Yeah.
So what I do is I turn my pot upside down, and I come out here and I make 2 widths of my pliers, and I turn my wire 90 degrees. And I'm very cognizant that I want this to be as sharp an angle as possible.
Mm-hmm.
Then I take my pliers and put them in this orientation and turn it again 90 degrees. But instead of going 90 degrees, I want to go a full 360 degrees and make a U. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Can you see how that?
Mm-hmm.
I'm holding this for the camera.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. My next thing I do is I lay that assembly there and put my plier here so it's just
mm-hmm.
past
mm-hmm.
one plier width past
mm-hmm.
the hole, and then I turn the thing and bend it 360 degrees and turn it and close it so it's closed.
Mm-hmm.
So I have a flat surface right here. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Then I take my pliers and put them at that length, and then I turn this one so it points down 90 degrees.
Oh, wow.
Okay?
Okay.
Now, then I take a pair of wire cutters and cut this off. Now, if I've done this correctly, I can take the staple and put it right in the hole of the pot, drain hole, and it fits real tight.
Mm-hmm. Cool.
That is why I use the width of my plier as a measuring device, so
mm-hmm.
I can transfer the measurement of the hole to the wire bending process without having to get out and measure things or guess.
Yeah. That's beautiful.
Now, as you learn how to do this, and the more you do it, you can get to the point where you can look at the holes and bend it and you can be right on.
Mm-hmm.
But that's only after you've done a couple thousand of them.
Yeah, I went out this morning and looked again, you know, so.
The idea is you want this, okay, let's take this one step further. Excuse us because I wasn't prepared for this.
Well,
This is off the cuff stuff. Now I'm going to leave the pot upside down so it's easier to see. What we do is we take the wires and put them in the holes that are the same, roughly the same spacing as what we've set our wire up in, and then that goes into the hole. Now, the reason why we do all of this, it's a good idea to know why. This leaves a pretty good flat surface across here that will hold that wire screen down. And matter of fact, when you do this, if you have a slight bow in your wire screen, you want the bow to be, let's do this correctly with the pot, on the interior of the, on the tree. So when you put this staple in there, it will pull that bow down. That's the way it should normally be done. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Now, when I put these in here, I want to orient the tails that go through the pot perpendicular to the front face of the pot, so they're less visible if you look underneath.
Right.
The next process is to push on the staple on the inside. See my hands?
Mm-hmm.
Push on the staple, and then bend these as tightly against the pot rim as possible.
Mm-hmm.
What that does is, because all those bends are nice and tight and 90 degrees and 90 degrees, or they are as strong as they can possibly be structurally.
Yeah.
That's a physics thing. It's a structural thing. The next thing I do is I come and shorten these down so I have roughly a 1/4 inch or an 1/8. That's all the amount, because these are bent so tight, that's the only amount of wire you need. If you leave those tails long, again, this is the moment, it's a structural thing, structural engineering thing. It's easier to move that wire and get it caught on stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So by having these short, that's actually less chance of it getting disturbed.
Yeah.
And that's how you put wire screens in.
Yeah, that's a beautiful little movie right there. That's a...
Off the cuff, man.
Yeah.
And it's very simple.
Yeah, okay.
But again, like you said before, everything in bonsai has a purpose and is important.
Yeah.
Since we're putting a tree into a pot, or a bonsai into a pot, what happens is you start getting all the debris and all of the gunk that forms over the life of the tree will eventually work its way down to the bottom. Since we're trying to establish a perfect growing environment, so we have a balance of air and water, we want to make sure that we provide adequate drainage. So we want to be proactive, and we want to leave more space for that gunk to accumulate in the bottom of the pot and for the roots to grow into the bottom of the pot, because they will, over time. So to compensate for the fact that we're going to eventually clog the bottom of the pot up in bonsai culture, it's prudent to put in a drainage layer. And what that does is allow for roots and gunk, fine particles that will accumulate in the bottom of a place to be and not close off the drainage. So our tree can remain in the pot for a longer period of time. So what I do, and a lot of other professionals do, is we'll take a coarser soil. This is between 3/8 and 1/4 of an inch roughly. Mm-hmm. I'm going to admit this hasn't been screened yet because I wasn't prepared for this, but that's beside the point. Mm-hmm. And what you do is you come in here and you put one layer across the entire bottom of the pot. One thin layer. That's a little bit too much. What I'm doing right now is if I was working with Ryan, I would be chastised for it. But again, we want only one layer and one layer only. Okay. And again, that is to allow us a thin layer at the bottom of the pot that will compensate for the accumulation of fine particles and roots that accumulate at the bottom, and maintain drainage through those drainage holes for a longer period of time.
Got it.
Period.
Got it. Thanks.